Leaders live to and more. We live to empower. Leaders live generously. This is our finest hour. With faith in our hearts, with hope in our eyes. Leaders live, together we rise.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Welcome to another night of impartation. Welcome to you. Thank you for being here tonight. We are so godly proud for each and every one of you who have decided to invest in yourself. I hope that many of you would, I've got many DMs, many voice messages from the message last night of Dr. George Frazier. And so he's always on point. As he stated, he practiced that many, many times. So don't do that at home. Okay. Don't y'all try to duplicate him at home in one shot. Okay. You're going to embarrass yourself. All right. So thank you for being here. You know, the Leaders Live Generously Summit, virtual summit where we give back. It is our way of giving back. We call it serve, right? You're serving. Amen. And that's the way we like to do it. You're being the leader that serves. As you serve, you heard all the trainings synergistically come together. And we want to thank you for doing that. Many people have tuned in, watched it, um, and they've been bragging about the substantive substance that we have brought to you. And that's what we want to continue to do. All right. As we continue to build, as we continue to influence, being a catalyst for those that need to get off the couch, those that haven't done nothing but need to do something. We've found how to introduce yourselves. We found there's 7 ways you can do. We found that you need a network, you need a system, you need to be in the right company. So listen, you've got some work to do. And tonight, we have done no less to bring you another one of our best, right? God has a plethora of folks out in this world, right? Do not think that you're by yourself. You are not by yourself. All right. You have a company, even here, of like minds who, as we say, iron sharpens iron. We want to thank you tonight. You heard George Frazier, the great doctor, say that his successor was Delano A. Johnson. Now, I'm sure that was not a overnight pick. Okay, I'm sure that he had a amalgamation of backgrounds and leaders of over 50 years. You heard what he said, okay? And he's been on this road. He doesn't sound like a novice, doesn't sound like he can be someone can just pull the wool over his eyes. All right. Now he might look like he blind, but he can see real clear. Okay, so when this pick was picked, you better believe it was carefully crafted and divinely orchestrated. Believe that. And so for Delano A. Johnson, putting his foot in those shoes to carry it to another level so that the legacy continues. I've been knowing Delano for years. Years ago, me, um, guy, we started this thing called Christian Business Network. Jerome Edmondson was the president, and I was the vice president. Dr. Miles Monroe was training us, and Jerome pulled me in. And we were talking with Dr. Miles Monroe about, what we were calling it. We didn't have a logo. And he decided to call in this guy who he said was part of his singers, and they were the first youth of his church. But this man is now a graphic artist, and Next thing you know, he comes in. We're at the restaurant and he pulls out a napkin to show how creative he is because we didn't have no paper. You heard what Dr. Fraser said when you ain't got a paper, you that was when we didn't have no sense, okay? And so he drew us a logo that became the logo, Christian Business Network. And then he drew my logo for my God's Gear Gospel Word, which we still use today. And Delano was tall, handsome. He could sing. He was a graphic artist, you understand? And now he's just still tall and handsome. He's a little older though. Okay, he don't move as fast. Okay, he think he do, but he don't. All right, and he then got married to the wonderful Monique Lisa. Let me tell you something. You know, when you're a king, you need a queen for sure. All right, or black sister that can hold you down. And listen, she hold him down big time. He then got better, sharper, smarter. Yes, he has. And so I want those of you who've never heard him, never been around him, don't know who he is. I want to clearly let you understand he's well able, well capable of executing didactically and succinctly his words. And he's from the Bahamas originally, and you will enjoy him tonight. I want to welcome Delano A. Johnson. The mic is yours, my brother.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. I see a copy of the book. He's got his.
I met
Appreciate
you at
that.
Les Brown in 2018, brother. It's been a pleasure ever since. I met
Oh,
you.
wow.
We sat and talked. You were in it with your fiance at that time, but we had a
Yeah.
great conversation, man. It was
Oh,
great.
great, man.
Great.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes.
Appreciate you. You probably have one of the original copies of that book. We're in our 10th year anniversary of that book. And so God is good. I just want to first thank Prophet, the prophet that you can trust, Dr. Anthony D. Shannon, who's been a longtime friend, comrade, a confidant. I could talk to him about personal matters, and I know he's someone who can pray for me, not only just talk about it, but he can also pray. And then he could go in his closet and hear from God. And I just appreciate people who God has placed in my life at that level. So, first of all, thank you so much, my brother, for what you're doing. When you told me about leaders living generously, I told you as a brand architect, when you first told me what the words were, I didn't capture the essence of that. But when you spoke about how you express this generosity in leadership, it makes so much sense. Listen, everybody around you don't have to understand your vision immediately. Sooner or later, if you persist, they gonna get it. Somebody say they gonna get it. Somebody say
Again.
they gonna get it.
Yes,
Miles Monroe, my mentor, had this famous saying when he would deliver a deep thought and the crowd would not respond. And his response to that, his retort to that was, y'all gonna get it when I die. And this is exactly what happens. Sometimes what you are doing are so far beyond everybody else that you need a prophet or a seer to help determine what in the world you talking about. Sometimes what we see is so far cast into the future that sometimes you yourself doubt if it's going to get done. I want to say thank you to my illustrious, beautiful, gorgeous, darling, wonderful, absolutely amazing, stunning queen and wife, my partner. This is my second rodeo and my last. I ain't getting off this bull. And this is the last. And the reason being is because when you found your rib, you need nothing else. When you find your rib and you make the decision to unite with her, now you're whole. I always say this: when God created Eve, he took something away from Adam and he gave it to Eve, which means that he becomes dependent on her and she him. This was the automatic dependency in a relationship that keeps the glue intact. So I thank God for my beautiful wife who always knows exactly what to say. You know, I was just thinking about her. She prepared some food for me, and I mean, she does. We have, babe. Can I tell him about this? This little thing that we do. So we have this thing. I just wanted to bless somebody. So we have this thing. We call it our constants, right? So there is one thing that we do that we always do, regardless of how we feel about each other. She could be angry. She does it. I can be angry with her. I still got to do it. And we've done this consistently over the years. And I watched my wife faithfully. Boy, I know she was upset at me, but she still did it. And so we do this thing where I would always constantly open the door for her wherever I am, wherever it is. Listen, if it's a plane door I got to open, I'm gonna do that, right? And so that's my constant. That's my way. That's my love language to her, to say that, hey, I'm upset at you, but I still love you. I could be upset and still love you. And so she has her thing. So she makes these meals for me, and she comes and she prepares it like I'm a king, and she does that, and she puts it in front of me, and I'm like, I feel like a king. I know she's angry at me, but she does it anyway. Sometimes you need something to keep your responsibility in check while your emotion runs away. Sometimes you need those small little activities, those constants that keep you in the motion of following your responsibilities, even when you don't feel like it. So, y'all just give my beautiful wife a great big hey, what's up, Monique? Good, thank you for loving this man and his crazy self. And then I want to say, thank you, babe. I want to say I've had the pleasure of having mentors in my life. When I was about 14 years old, I came home from school and I didn't wash the dishes. My mom came home. She was upset at me and said, "Why I didn't wash the dishes?" I said, "Mom, listen, you already teach me how to cook, clean, wash clothes. I understand how to keep my house good. I already know how to do that. What I don't know is how to change a tire. I don't know the difference between a Phillips screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver." I say, I need a man to teach me these things. You can't teach me these things. And my mother looked at me. Usually she would be upset because I didn't do my chores. My mother looked at me and said, "Hold 1 second." She went in the room. I heard her pick up the phone. I heard some chattering. When she was done, she walked out of the room and she says, "Go across the street to Brother Aaron." Brother Aaron was one of my first mentors. My mother had the sense not to say, "I'm your mother and your father." Oh, see, I may not be the favorite here tonight, but it's going to be okay. But my mother had the sense enough to say, for this young man, "I'm not your father. Let me introduce you to someone." That led me on a trajectory where at the end of it, about 9 years ago, after Dr. Monroe passed, a friend of mine gave me a pass to come to go to a conference that I'd known about for years, matter of fact. And that's where I met Dr. George C. Fraser. From that moment, the first time we had a conversation, I felt like the stars were aligned. And I want to say this to you guys. Sometimes just because you can see the stars, it doesn't mean that they're aligned. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes because you can see the stars, it doesn't mean that that they are aligned. Sometimes you have to wait until they are aligned. Dr. George was the North Star that was missing from the visible stars that I saw. And so that North Star led me to a path where I would be trained in leadership at a whole new level. I would be introduced to worlds that I didn't know. I would gain a friend and a mentor. That means he'll tell you what he needs to tell you as harshly as he can, but you can still laugh about it. And so I can tell you right here, I'm probably one of the luckiest men in the world right now to be able to call him mentor, to call him friend, and to be entrusted with the responsibility of taking his vision to the next level. Sometimes you don't know what you could do until they put it in your lap. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't know what you can do until they put it in your lap. All right. With that said, all the pleasantries out of the way, I want to talk to you guys tonight about building an authentic brand, an authentic brand, building an authentic brand. In a world filled of copycats, we live in a closed vacuum of echo chambers that echo nothing but copying and following virality. We look for what is the latest viral clip instead of thinking about how I can make one. We look for the trending opportunities instead of creating avenues that create opportunities. We plaster our walls with things that people have done, leaving ourselves just to copy what they did, as opposed to digging deep within our own authentic, unique, and original self. Authentic, unique, and original selves. Many people don't even know how to find themselves. Many people don't know who they are. Every business has a leader. Every leader has a personality, and most companies take on the personality of the person. If you think about Steve Jobs, he had an affinity for typography. He was a stickler for clean designs. And if you look at Apple juxtapose IBM or PCs, you could noticeably see the difference in how these two products are positioned in the market. One attracts a certain set of people, the other, another set of people. My question to you today is, who are you attracting? Because if you're not you and you're pretending to be someone else because of some algorithms, then they're coming to you not because of you, but because of someone else. They're coming to you because of them. They're looking at you because of them. Now, here's one problem with that. The problem with that is that if those people stop being them and you're pretending to be them, who are you? Your people would have not been introduced to you to stay long enough to get the rest of your story because you simply weren't you. There is this diamond that the Queen has in her arsenal. I think it's called the red diamond. But it's one of the most rarest diamonds ever. How does a diamond get its evaluation? How does a diamond get its value? The value is sustained by rarity. The more rare something is, the more valuable it becomes. The more unlike something is, the more precious it becomes. The more unique something is, the more everyone wants that thing. I have a belt, and it's a knockoff of a brand. I bought the belt maybe 20 years ago. I was at a store, and it looked real. It looked the leather felt real. The belt, it was cut really nice. So it looked real. I took the belt home, wore it, and a few months later, the buckle became unfastened. Here's the challenge with things that are not authentic and original and unique. There was no one who took responsibility for that product. I couldn't call any manufacturer that had a warranty in place because I had a relationship with it so that I can get that replaced. No one cared whether or not the belt functioned as it was supposed to or it was designed to. No one cared about it. So for you, where are your points of originality? You as a personality brand. Where are the points, the things that make you uniquely you? Do you know those points? So let's do this. I want you, right in the chat, to three things. Give me three things that is uniquely you. Now, most of the time when somebody asks someone, who are they usually cite their profession, their job. Your job is not who you are. Your job is just what you do. So I want you to write three things. Send me three things that is uniquely you. Uniquely you. Yes, uniquely you. Oh, somebody said, I'm uniquely me. Yeah, I could tell what kind of student you was in class for sure. All right. Yes, your job isn't who you are, it's what you do. Yes. So go ahead and write in the chat just three things that make you uniquely you. Now, this is a discovery here that when I go through my brand architecture discovery, most people find it very difficult because we don't spend a lot of time with us, even though we are with ourselves the most out of anybody else. Do you understand you've spoken to yourself more than anybody else has? The voice that you hear in your head, you've heard that more than any other voice. But still, we don't understand that. I like what Perul has said, unstoppable, resilient, trustworthy. I love that. Unstoppable, resilient, and trustworthy. I need two more people. Two more. Unstoppable, resilient, trustworthy. Okay, I got Eric Harris that says his voice, his hair, and his wisdom. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We're becoming a little bit more specific. I'm going to show you how this actually works in the real world. I'm going to name a few people, and you're going to identify with them immediately. Consistent, loving, and determined. Yes, that's you. That's definitely you. My babe said that. All right, pastoral coach, a mentor, and an encourager. Yes, most definitely, prophet. All right. Kendra says, my smile. That's a very good one. I want to deal with that. My smile, my mind, and my positivity. I love that. Our sister Glenna says that her loyalty, her resilience, and her musicianship, which is communication. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But so I want to deal with a couple of things here because you guys are pulling on some very important things here to get to the bottom of who you are. Every brand starts with who? I know there's a saying, and I think it was made popular by Seth Godin, who said that a brand is a promise. But every promise could be broken, so a brand can't be the promise. If the promise is broken, you have no brand anymore. No, you actually have a brand that breaks promises. That becomes your brand. When you break the promise, then you become a brand that has a promise. So the brand must persist the actual promise. The promise is something that establishes the relationship between the brand and its customer, the people that they serve. Let me say it again. The brand or the promise is the relationship that is established through a giving and a receiving between the company, the brand, and the people that it serves. One more time. The promise is the relationship commitment between the brand, the company, and the people that it is serving. The people that it is serving. So let's jump into this. Kendra says her smile. Does anybody know anyone when you see them, there's a smile on their face that makes everything okay? Whatever's going on in your day, you see them, you come across them, or you call them. Specifically, you call them. because they speak with a smile in their face. You can hear it over the phone, like their smile. There's a smile in their voice. Does anybody know anyone like that? Yes. A smile is an attribute that could be marketed and should be marketed. If you guys were paying attention, Dr. George was teaching us how to be aware of yourself in public, because some of us don't wear a smile. For me, I have this thing here where I always look like I'm doing this here. So I have to be conscious of that. So, but then if I do the reverse, I'll always look like I'm surprised. So it'll be like this. And so what I did was I embraced that, and I attribute it to always thinking, always logic, always ready to solve a problem. And so I usually put one eyebrow up, the Mr. Spock thing. And a friend of mine said, you know, you remind me of Mr. Spock. And I realized that was the point when they got it. I manipulated the brand, I gave it an intention, and it accomplished the goal from a personality standpoint. So everybody have someone where they smile and you know that smile is infectious. You just love to be around them. There are ways that you can actually market and present that. That is what we call a brand asset to your personality brand. I'm going to explain to you the differences in brand. There's 5 of them, and it's important for you to know which one you're working on. Because if you are in a service-based industry, it's important for you to work on your personality brand. That's going to be important because that will establish the corporate and the products. You are the spokesperson, so it's important for you to work on you first, and then the product and the corporate brand. So your personality is everything that God gave you. Now, in the garden, it says that God decided to make man in his own image and his own likeness. So image is what it looks like, and likeness is how it behaves. Likeness is its philosophy, how it responds to the world around it. So what you want to do is take a tally of all of the personality traits that you have. As you're building an authentic brand, you want to take a tally of all of the personality traits that you have. So you smile. You always make yourself available. I can hear a slogan like always there when you need them. I think it was Eric who says, let me just take a look here. It was Eric who says, look right in here. Okay. Unstoppable. No. Voice, hair, and wisdom. Now I have the thing with Eric here, and I'm totally into what I do. So Eric is a part of a club that we have on Clubhouse, and the House of Creativity. And one day he said something that was so profound, but it wasn't just that one day. It was about 2 days before that when I was online and I heard him say something. I said, this guy's just wisdom. And he has this gray hair look, and he has this, it's a youthful wisdom, older sage kind of a look. And so what I did, Eric, I don't know if you can jump on right now. I just want to give this as a testimony here as to what I'm talking about. Can you come on? You can just unmute yourself.
I'm here.
All right, good. Yeah, okay, so now you guys can see him. So you understand exactly what I'm talking about here. So he has a presence about him, and sometimes our look is also a part of our brand asset, because you're not going to look the same way you look your entire life today. Your looks, your features will change. Beauty doesn't last forever. In the mind it does, but not on the body. So Eric made a statement, and at that moment I said, you know what? Here's a brand for him. And so I went and I looked it up, and this is one of the things that I do to verify that an idea is original. And I'm gonna give you the secret in a moment. So I went, I looked it up, and I saw that this was the entry to market on this specific name was near to zero. because no one was thinking about it enough to actually to create URLs and websites and to have a presence online. So I'm going to give him, I'm going to tell him what the name is, Eric. And you guys tell me, as you're looking at him, I want you to tell me if this is congruent. And here's the name. To me, he looks like a Brother Wisdom. Okay, I already see some people smiling and nodding their head. Yes. Brother Wisdom. Now, if you hear him talk and his cadence, he's not into fast talking. He's methodical. He comes at you with real, tangible, practical wisdom that you could use. And it just dawned on me that not only did he have the physical wherewith to propel that brand, but he also had the characteristics, what it looks like and what it behaves like. Those are the two components of what makes brand, of what makes personality, what it looks like and what it acts like. So you act like someone who's been deposited or lived the sum total of the wisdom that you speak. So that's what I mean by borrowing from your natural given God talents and who you are. Thank you so much, Brother Eric. Appreciate that. So when you do that, you're bringing yourself closer and closer to this word we call authenticity. Closer and closer to this word we call authenticity. So whenever he's ready to use that brand, it will be available and it'll be a no-brainer. People will automatically get it. And I guarantee you, the day you release that, because there will be what we call visual congruity, people see it, they know it, they feel it. It's like something when you see something you like and you say, I don't know why, like it's just something about it. Is that just something about it you can't explain? It means that you're, how should I say this? The way that we determine beauty is by symmetry. Symmetry in look, visual context, and sound, audible context. So when we hear something that's in harmony, we call that beautiful. We say, I love that song. No, you love the harmony. You don't understand why you love the song, but you love the harmony. Or that person is a stunning person. Well, the juxtaposition of their eyes and the ratio between the space between their nose and their lips, all of that is what we consider beauty. However that person is features is laid out. So I want you guys to type this. My looks is a part of my brand. Dr. George now is becoming famous for the glasses. And I can say that I had a little bit to do when he was deciding on what frames to wear. I don't know how, if we were on the call already or he called me and he said, I'm trying to make a decision on which one of these here I like. And he said, I like this one here. I think we both agreed on the actual frames that he has now. Doc, I'm giving him a little bit of a behind the scenes story here. But that specific look was a decision. And it's selling. His videos in total is about almost 50 million views before the glasses. Are y'all hearing me? Because some of y'all struggling trying to get 18 people to like your post. When the 19th person do it, you think you all that in a bag of chips. I'm trying to tell you, it's not about copying. It's about being congruent. It's about authenticity, originality, and uniqueness. Authenticity, originality, and uniqueness. Here's the 5 different types of brands that you'll encounter. And you have to decide on which one you're going to start with first. I always say start with you, because you drive. Your personality leaks onto whether it's a product or a service, is going to have your thumbprint on it. So if you start by understanding who you are and you understand the attributes that you have, then you can actually copy those things, cut and paste those attributes from your personality onto the product. I just explained the way that that Steve Jobs did that with Apple. He hired people who had the same passion he had, an affinity for typography and for symmetry and for design. One of the first designers he designed for the Apple was the guy who designed the Jaguar car for Ford. So your thumbprint is going to be on those products. So you start with you. So number one, you have a product brand. Somebody type that in the chat there, product brand. Number two, you have a service brand. Somebody type that. And number three, you have a personality brand. Somebody type that in there, personality brand. What number is that? 3? Number 4, you have a what we call a philanthropic brand. All right. And the last one, you guys look like you all have it. The last one is a corporate brand. For example, Bill Gates left Microsoft, but Microsoft didn't lose shares. He became the personality brand to continue to drive. As a matter of fact, that was a part of his contract in leaving. That his personality would continue to drive the brand, the corporate brand. Mark Zuckerberg was adamant he's not going to have a Facebook page. Well, it was counterproductive being the founder of it, not to have a page yourself. It's like having a food store and never eating from it. So he finally took the bullet, and now he has a page. It's fully curated. It's not necessarily things that he's doing on it, but he has a whole team, and they fully curate that because it was important to attach the personality brand, who's the founder, to that product brand. And there's a dynamic that happens when we do this. It strengthens the person or the human aspect of the corporate brand. Sometimes a brand, you say, oh, you know, Dole Foods, they're just poisoning people. But if you have a nice looking person, a male or female, that comes and talk about their, you know, the work that they're doing in communities and how they're feeding people, it softens the hit to someone. All right. So these are the 5 brands that you will have to work with in your entrepreneurial pursuits. Sean, if you can go on mute, that'll be great. Thank you. If you can focus on your personality brand, it will strengthen your corporate brand. Your corporate brand can produce products, and people will believe in those products because they have a relationship with the corporation via the personality. For example, every one of you know Procter & Gamble. And some of you don't even know all of the products that they produce. But they're committed to household products. Everything you need in the home, from Pampers to cleaning products. And you trust that because there's a little logo on the back that says P&G, Procter & Gamble. You trust that label, you trust that icon, which usually caused me to ask this question. What is God's logo on us? We are his creation. I'm driving the point again about your personality brand, why that's so important, why you need to focus on that, why you need to make sure that you're being authentic, you're being unique, and you're being original. In 1998, scientists discovered the sequence that created our DNA, or that comprises of our DNA. And in that, they described that there was a set of sequences that they didn't understand, that data and information. So they called it junk DNA. They called it junk DNA because they couldn't figure out what it was. Years later, through studies done and led by Bill Gates and Microsoft, they realized that this junk DNA actually held all of the epigenetics, which is the information stored in the genome that describes your great grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, and you. From the things that they decided based on external stimuli. Maybe your father had a problem with drinking, and when he was pressured, he turned to the bottle. And you are having problems with drinking, and you don't understand why. You never met your father. Well, it's because of epigenetics. This is information that's carried on through. Interestingly enough, they called this specific part of what they found the God gene, because this gene is something that all humans have that makes them religious, or they quote unquote believe in a God. I found that very interesting. When you put yourself, this is why it's so important. You know, one of the greatest things you could ask yourself is, who am I? And once you answer that question, it's going to help you to be able to deliver a uniqueness that no one else have. You don't have to copy people. You don't have to go on Facebook or Instagram and find out what's trending, because you will be trending. Your authenticity will be trending. So here's what you can do. First of all, who has a corporate brand? Just put it in the chat for me. I want you to put your corporate brand in the chat. God's logo on us is the DNA they found that they call the God gene. Somebody asked a question there. It's called the God gene. It allows us, and this is what they found, that if they isolate that gene and extract it, that people become more secular in their thinking. It's very interesting. V2 Mat. I think that was the assignment to it. V2 Mat. You guys can look that up. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was V2 Mat. Yeah. So essentially there was something that God left in us that identify us as his product. Every manufacturer does it. Their logo is somewhere on that product. So God's logo on us is the God gene. Yes, exactly. God's logo on us is the God gene. Okay. So if you have a corporate, okay, so Dr. George said, okay, well, I know Fraser Net, Doc. All right, no problem. Let's use it as a case study. So a part of that, this is a good case study. So Dr. George, his passion was to help Black entrepreneurs do three things: connect, grow, and prosper. Connect, grow, and prosper. Ironically, that becomes the statement in his office, right under the sign, right under the logo, the identity mark, is those three words: connect, grow, and prosper. That feeds the mission and keeps you on purpose for everything you do. Regardless of who takes over the company, who's the president, who's the vice president, who's the secretary or the assistants, it doesn't matter. The company is unchanged because it's adapted a personality that gives it purpose, which makes sure that it is unchanged. In every company, Coca-Cola's logo was changed twice in the history. Pepsi, twice. Nike, once. It's been the swoosh and the typographical Nike since 1971. Those are the things that we call constants. So, is your logo and your brand mark eternal? Is your slogan mark eternal? So connect, grow, and prosper. Connect, grow, and prosper. There's so many things that you can do around that. Connect, grow, and prosper. Now, whatever you do, and I want to just point this out here, whatever you do will always be congruent because of those three words. You're going to connect people to opportunities and to people to help them to grow. And as they grow, you will help them and facilitate them in that growth so that it is more purposeful than wild growth. And in the end of all of that management, they would have prospered. Now, to be honest with you, this is one of the most succinct, simplest slogan, we would call it a slogan mark, that I've seen. Easy for people to know who you are and what you do. So we're talking about personality brands. We're talking about product brand, service, philanthropic, and corporate. Right now, we're looking at a corporate brand. So I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to do to find your inner treasure. Number 1, today, as you look at this image of me on the screen, what's the most consistent thing that you see? It's a question. What is the most consistent thing you see in this picture, this frame? It's actually overwhelming. So overwhelming that you probably won't notice it, but it's registering in your mind. Anybody? Okay, somebody say branding sign. Color. What color? Well-dressed man in a suit. Okay, all right. I'll take that. There we go. Blue. What is the color Dr. George is wearing? If he could take his camera and show you his wall, what color would the wall be, Doc? Blue. Blue is not just a color, it's an energy. When light is divided, you will see colors. We call that the rainbow. My voice vibrates at a frequency of 254 hertz. When you convert that color, you end up with a note, a musical note, which is B flat. That's the sound of my voice, B flat. When you convert that into a color, it is blue. When I focus on branding, it is the whole entire person that becomes, see, you don't know why you're attracted to that person. It may be because they have blue shoes in their closet and you got blue shoes on. So understanding who you are from an intrinsic standpoint, building you from the inside out. There we go. You can see the Fraser net. He's showing it right there. It was blue. Blue is the color of my first car. It was a Mazda MX-6. Stick shift, 5 on the floor. And it was the color of my first car. So I didn't understand what blue meant to me. But you have a color. I usually start with the color because that vibrates the energy that comes from you. So put your favorite color down. And I'm telling you, it's not your favorite color because you picked it. It's your favorite color because it picked you. It was a part of creating an environment unique to you that will communicate to people on a different wavelength. Is anybody getting something? I usually get some feedback. Anybody getting something, just raise your hand. You getting something from this? You learning something? All right. Good. Gold, black. So every color has a very specific meaning on a color chart. So as you develop your personality brand, these things must be intentional. That's why it's important to have someone who understands visual communications and brand architecture. So it's not just graphic designs. Any graphic design can go on Canva and design you a flyer. Not everyone will understand what colors to use that's congruent and consistent to you and your personality. So here's the congruency. Dr. G is in a navy blue suit. He gets up on stage. Blue is his color. And his voice is in the same range texture as mine. So what color you think his voice is? Blue. So what is this doing? You're just not copying and pasting someone else's design. I mean, do you think God copied and pasted you? You are an original. You are so original that they could find you in 8 billion people by your fingerprint, by your air lobe mark, by your iris. There's 7 points on your body that is totally unique. Yes, you are an original, not a copy. You are an original. So that's another aspect of building your personality brand. The next aspect of building your personality brand, and this is my favorite. Now, I've said it here a couple of times, and I've used this, I've demonstrated this a couple of times, but you didn't know it. Again, you didn't know it. You didn't understand the blue, but you felt it. Blue is a calming color that's closely associated with the sky and the water. So it's calming. So most people say, "Oh, you have a calming voice." I didn't understand. Matter of fact, I'll give you a quick story. I didn't actually like the sound of my voice. I met Stevie Wonder. We was opening at we was doing a number. We were performing at Crenshaw Church, Fred Price, and Stevie Wonder was in the green room, and he said he heard me come in. He heard my voice, and he says, "Are you the singer, the lead singer?" I said, "Yes." I came to him. I shook hands. We took pictures, and he said, "I love your voice." And he says, "You know, you have a beautiful voice." And I said, "No, I really don't like my voice." And that's when he told me, "You can't hear your voice because it protrudes away from you in mono, but everybody else hears it in stereo coming at them. This is why most people don't like their voice." It's the same thing with how you look. You cannot see how you look without the aid of a mirror or some close confidant or friend to tell you exactly how you look. You got a booger in your nose. You got coal in your eye. You need people to tell you that. Same way you need someone to tell you right now that you are an original, right? You are an original. So that's your color, the color of your voice, right? You also have your life's color. And then you also have not just your energy, but you also have your voice vocabulary, the words that you use. Now, C is another letter for me. And that C denotes creativity. That's one of my words. So I want you to think of the one word that could identify you, and I want you to put that in the chat. Whatever that one word is. That's your one word. I'm going to show you something. Now, as we continue to collaborate here in this session, I'm going to show you how, yes, in a world full of cloning everything, this is essential information. Yes, it is. Because your identity, do you know your voice is one of the other things the FBI identifies you with? Besides it's your voice imprint and it's your thumbprint. That's the two pieces of information. Okay? So your vocabulary. Most of the words in my vocabulary, I wouldn't say most of them, but I have curated consistency in my vocabulary with words that begin with the letter C. Now, because I just said that to you, you probably would hear, now you'll hear all of the C words that I'll use. But subliminally, I've been talking to your spirit the whole time. Blue is a color that's communicating to you. The texture of my voice, that's communicating to you. The way that I'm dressed is communicating to you. And the choice of vocabulary, it's communicating to you. There was a movie called V for Vendetta, and it was produced as I get ready to close here. Those are the three things that I'm going to leave you with. And I'm going to tell you how important words are, because words express and communicate your thoughts and exactly who you are, what you want to do, and help to portray these ideas in the real world and convey and construct these ideas in the real world. There was a movie called V for Vendetta, and this is when I became cognizant of my vocabulary and how it also played a part in crafting a brand. So the movie started with the character. It's the opening scene, established and shot. And he came on the scene and he said, "Behold in view a humble vaudevillian veteran, cast vicariously as both victim and villain by the vicissitudes of fate. This visage no mere veneer vanity is a vestige of a vox populi now vacant to vanish. However, this visitation of a bygone vexation now stands vivified, and has vowed to vanquish these venal and vermin vicing, vanguarding Vikings, and vicious and ferocious, venomous villagers of vampires. Behold, it is a vendetta held as a votive not in vain, for as to one day vindicate the vigilant and the virtuous." I had never, ever heard or even knew that the English language had that many V words in it to string them along to make a sentence, let alone a whole opening act. I went and I studied it. And because the character's name was V, it made total congruency sense. It was brilliantly written. That's when I realized if I could craft a vocabulary to use specific words choicefully, words that sound good to my ears, words that convey a certain message and a character. If I could do that consistently, then perhaps I communicate on another level to people. Your whole goal in developing your personality brand, as I close, is to harness your creativity launched from your uniqueness, your authenticity, and your originality. If you're able to do that, I'm going to tell you that most of your marketing will be when you just show up. Because you're so congruent, in and out of season, you're the same way. You're right there. You're consistent. They can see that. I'm telling you, there's a reason why Cornel West keeps his hairstyle the way it is and wears a scarf in 90-degree weather. That's a part of his brand. My question to you is, what are the three elements of your brand? Do you know what that is? Do you know what your color is? Do you know the color of your voice? Do you even like your voice? Do you know what type of brand you have? And what will be the focus from this moment on? If you focus on your personality brand first, you'll be able to charge all the other brands. I have a program, it's called the Tribe Brand, where you're able to leverage the cost associated with building a specific brand. We're able to leverage that and start with your personality brand that feeds into the corporate brand. But there's a strategy on how to do that. But if you understand the personality brand, I'm telling you, in a creator economy where solopreneurs will become king, people who have personalities online, where now there is $40 billion in new marketing numbers and money that's going to be spent with what we call influencers in the next 5 years, directly circumventing the old ad agencies and going directly to influencers. My question to you is, are you popular or are you an influencer? Because someone who's popular can have a lot of friends and followers, but someone who's an influencer can influence people's decisions. And that's where the success is in the next 10 years. Listen, guys, I hope you've had something that cause you to think and cause you to focus on what your personality brand should be. And I'm here for questions and any additional information. My passion is to help you to accomplish your dreams by helping you to brand yourself and your companies and your products and your services and your philanthropic initiatives. And with that said, my name is Delano Johnson. I'm going to turn it over to the one and only, the Mr. Shannon himself. Doctor, over to you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Delano A. Johnson. What man, what substance here, man. What authentic branding. 5 types of brands: product brand, service brand, personality brand. Who knew that your personality could be your brand? My goodness gracious, that was just so powerful. You know what I mean? Philanthropic brand, your corporate brand. Man,
Mm-hmm.
find your color. What's your color? Lord, this just, I mean, these were 24 karat gold bars. That's what Wise would say.
Yep.
Indeed. I love it.
He
And then
would. He
I
would.
say, believe that.
That's right.
Believe that. You
Well,
understand?
that's
So
good.
listen, guys, if you have any questions, all right. First of all, if you enjoyed it, why don't you put ones in the chat. If you enjoyed this tonight, can you put ones in the chat? All right. Want to see them ones? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I see them ones. I see them ones. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have now just raise your hand. I'm going to be calling on you so that Delano can answer some of your questions. You know, he said a lot for your mind to chew on, a lot for you to process. I get it, you know. Purpose, you know, Dr. Miles Rowe constantly talked about purpose. It's the guiding reason for your existence, tied to your unique design. It's the purpose for what the reason you were born. Come on, somebody. Just
Mm-hmm.
slaying it town today. All right, we've got Michael D. Wynn, aka the coach. All right, what's your question for Delano?
Yes, Delano, I have a real quick question.
Go
Being
ahead, brother.
consistent, I'm actually similar to Dr. Shannon with my colors is black, gold, and white. How often or how consistent do you have to be with them? Because I also have a style brand. So when you talk about color and style, I sometimes go without my jacket and wear a vest, and I incorporate many colors. So is the color uh, if you pick that one color or 2 colors or whatever it is, you have to be, how consistent do you really need to be with that?
So that's a very good question. So we have what we call a color wheel. And on that color wheel, in deciding what a brand should look like from a color perspective, we start with a prime color, then we add to that 2 what we call sub prime colors, and it's usually on the tricolor wheel, right? They are contrasting colors. When you look on the color wheel, there are 3 colors. So you would see, so for example, you'll see orange, brown, and you'll see pink, right? You'll see blue, you'll see purple, and you'll see green. So these colors, there is a harmony. Matter of fact, if you look at the rainbow, there is a very layered effect to the order of these colors because there's a specific strength and frequency of light that each one give. They're that color because of the personality of that color. Red is associated with what? Anger, heat, right? Right. Um, Blue is associated with calm, cool, collected, right? So it's important for you to have a color wheel. You need 2 other colors associated with that. And then you would have in a style guide what we would call shades of your prime colors. Those are the only colors I would use because it's just like this. If you in politics, you got to stay on message. You can't veer off and talk about, tariffs. If you're talking if you're talking about, price of gas at the pump. So that's tantamount to staying on brand. So you'll be able to use essentially there's like at least about 12 to 13 colors that you may have within a brand style guide. It depends on what the brand is and what you're intending to do. that will build out that many colors. But yes, listen, when you see Mark Zuckerberg, what is he wearing? A black t-shirt and blue jeans. They don't go off brand. Who started that? Steve Jobs, because he was the icon of Silicon Valley at the point. So people do that because they want to borrow that visual equity from success that Steve Jobs had. So if I look like Steve, I'm going to be associated. I'm going to steal some of his equity of trust because I look like that. So what happens is you want to keep that consistency because over time people become used to that and they stop remembering your name and remembering how you look. We all rely on visuals, how we don't read stop signs. And there's a long study done. We don't read. We see. We see the word and we already know what the imprint is, that stop. So we say that stop. So we don't necessarily read. And that's the same thing in marketing. People don't read. They want to see. So just show them so they won't forget and they won't mistake you for someone else. When you wear somebody else's color, if you go out and you're wearing green and green ain't in your color palette, they're going to think of Starbucks and then they're going to go straight to Starbucks. Yeah, I forgot my coffee. I'm telling you, this is stuff that happens. When we do all these studies, this is what happens. So Starbucks own that hue of green, just like the T-Mobile fuchsia, they own that. That's actually you can't put that in your work. That specific color. That's part of their trademark. So yes, keep continuing to wear the same colors as much as you can. Most of the stuff in my closet is blue. And colors that match with that. All right. So
Wow.
hopefully that answers your question, brother.
Thank
Good.
you for that, Michael Wynn, the man. Next up, we have Eric Harrison. What's your question for Delano?
Brother Wisdom.
So, number one, amazing presentation. Appreciated
Thank you.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number two, I am actively working with Brother Wisdom right now, and you will see some things coming out from that, some magnificent things that God has shown me from that. Kind of creative, you'll see.
Good.
Not kinda, it is.
There we go.
Um, and my color was purple, deep, resonating,
Yeah.
strong. And get this,
That's
I have purple business shirts, purple ties. My pocket squares have purple, and I never understood why I always lean towards purple.
yeah.
I always had to have something with a pop of purple in it or something. You know what I mean? Then the gray will come. You see what I mean? And
Yeah.
even the beige. So all
Yeah.
those things, and I was marketing without even knowing I was doing it.
Yeah.
So that it's not a question, but it's a statement in saying that your presentation was spot on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And to tell you, Eric, Brother Wisdom, the more we find ourselves, see, you don't teach a bee how to pollinate flowers. It was designed and it knows which ones to pollinate. It knows this. Instinctively, we are designed by God to operate in who we are. That's it. We have to unlearn that. So when you become in alignment with who you are and connected to God, then more of yourself starts to reveal and these behaviors just automatically come out. It's already what's in you. So it's not something that's coming out without you. It's coming something that's within you. So purple, let me just give you this right quick, and I'm gonna give you a hint here. So study Solomon. It's gonna be really important for you to study Solomon. All right. Solomon and Mansa Musa. Study those two characters because gold is going to be a very important question because that's the value of royalty. Matter of fact, you're royal because of the amount of gold that you have. So that's the economy of what you do. So for example, how that sounds like in a marketing, right? So you have on purple and you're saying, here's this golden nugget I'll give you today. Here's the gold standard. People talk about the gold standard, but I want to reinvent what we call the gold standard. And when you do that, you're taking authority, which means that you are in your domain. And kings ruled domains. That's why I got you that domain. So that'll be a domain that you own, right? You own that spot. So when you talk about it, it's going to be congruent. People are not going to understand it. They're just going to feel it. They're going to feel, they'll see it, and then they'll feel, wow, I just like this guy. They don't know why. I just like this guy. So good. Great, man.
All right. Next we have Lady Glennis. What's your question?
Lady Glennis.
Hello, brother.
Hello, hello, beautiful.
I enjoyed the presentation, all the good information you presented tonight. I learned a lot. I
Good.
guess my question is twofold.
Mhm.
I wanted to see if you could just explain again the personality brand.
Okay.
Then I wanted to ask about, presence. When you enter a room, should you be concerned about whether you're impressive, and how you present?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. Two part. Number one, explain personality brand. So the personality brand is really all the things that constitute for your person, right? When God said, let's make man in our image, that's the person, that's the personality. It means the biological, visible structure of who you are, right? Everyone has very unique traits about them. Oprah fought about her weight for years. And she finally said, that's not who I am. I like bread. So she continued to eat the bread. And nobody loved her none the most. She walked in her brand and she stopped doing all those covers where she was like thin, like she was 17 years old. And she was just Oprah, the Oprah that everybody fell in love with. And so your personality brand is everything that constitutes for your physical structure, who you are, as well as the personality that shines through. That's the thing that people interact with. They see you, right? Your presentation, that's your body and how you look, how you present yourself. And that's always important. But even when you adorn yourself, you want to do it on purpose, meaning that there's specific colors that automatically shine through with your personality, or it's congruent to your personality. So you want to know, but your personality brand is exactly who you are in the public. It's who you are when no one's around, right? And the more you bring those two worlds together, where the quiet you and the outspoken you, the socialite you, right? When those two persons come into one, when they merge, then you would have this synergy, and that will be what we would call a centered brand, where we're not making up, like some people, and particularly actors, they have a persona in the public and they have a persona as an actor, as well as they have to have a persona of the roles that they play. But they can do that because they're actors. They can take on the different characters. So in some cases, you have to start acting like the person you know you are. This is when we start to say we're free in our own skin, right? You ever heard that statement? I'm free in my own skin, right? So you become comfortable with your flaws. You become comfortable with everything about you, and you ride that like this is who I am. You know, Lawrence Fishburne has an open gate. We call it. He's had separated teeth in the front. He hasn't gotten them fixed. He got more money to do whatever he wanted. But that's his trademark. It's a part of him, right? So, so that's your personality brand, okay? And the second part again. Explain. Just say the second part for me again. Was how
Yeah,
much?
yeah. Should we be concerned about how we present, when we enter a room,
Yeah, your presence. Yes. Okay.
impressing or
Yeah. When you are in your authentic self, you emote more energy than not. So you ever enter into a room and somebody was there and you didn't know who they were? You know they wasn't a celebrity, but you just said, "Who is that person?" Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, sure, yes.
Yeah. So that person was feeling good in their own skin. They had on the right colors.
Hmm.
They was in the right moment,
Hmm.
right? They didn't have no FOMO, right? No fear of missing out. They didn't have imposter syndrome. They knew exactly who they were and why they were here. So Dr. Monroe called this an acute sense of purpose. Purpose makes you relevant. When you're relevant, ain't nobody can tell you anything. You ain't got nothing to prove. So when you enter into a room, yes, you should be focused on who you are first and the value that you bring. You're valuable. If you walking in a room where they don't see your value, then that's not the room you need to be in. But in the rooms where they need you, you're gonna shine. It's just automatic. Right? It's like a pencil in my toolkit as a mechanic. I mean, I may need it, but I need that screwdriver more than I need anything else. That's more valuable to me. So you're gonna be that screwdriver in the right toolbox when you're in the right locations, in the right field of business. I even go through that. Some personalities are actually made and built for certain industries. Just like a politician, you gotta have a presence about you, right? There's just certain things that you have to be. So yes, you should be not concerned, but you should pay attention to it. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, good. Thank you.
All right, good.
All right. Now you did mention this about your book, Refuse to be Talented and Broke. But
Oh yeah.
in the book, so people can know about, the book, first of all, but in the book, the question I have for someone is this. You resonate in the book that there's people that may feel stuck, like in their potential. And, what's an actionable step for them that they can take, to begin moving? Because we decreed this year to be the year of 2025, the year to thrive. So what can someone do to truly thrive from feeling stuck to thriving? And
Mm.
your book, how can they get?
Okay, so you could go to talentedandbroke.com. Let me just put that. I can put the link, share the link, or babe, can you share that link for me? If you're still on, babe, can you share the link? Um, so what can you do? Say the last part again. What can you do to get unstuck?
Yeah, what can they do to begin moving from talented to truly thriving?
Okay, so I call it moving from talented and broke to talented and successful. So let me give you some context here. The reason why I wrote this book, right, is because I made my first million at 33. By 39, I was on my way to being a double-digit millionaire working on a project that would have evaluated my company at $50 million in the Bahamas. Well, I had part of it here in the U.S. I had divisions here in the U.S. and I had a division in the Bahamas, which would eventually be a water park with some characters that I created. And let me see. I think I have it somewhere around here. I just had it. Anyway, I developed some characters. I was the first Bahamian to create animated series. And so the government liked it, and I wanted to build a water theme park about it. So I did all of that. And along the way, I lost my footing and lost everything. So by 33, I had my first million. By 39, I was negative 10,000. So how does this happen? Well, actually, it was more than 10,000. That was the amount that was in my account. But here I have on this evaluation heading to $50 million. So I didn't take time to realize the things that cause us to be stuck. See, you want sometimes we want to get out of being stuck so bad that we don't study the things that got us stuck. So there was a set of behaviors, and I actually have it in the book. The book is 10 chapters that actually deal specifically with the things. For example, you may be talented and broke because your creativity is being poisoned by toxic relationships. You steady in the relationship, and listen. If you're married, you got to tough that out, and you got to do everything that you can. First of all, you got to be submitted, not just to one or two, three if you have to. I was submitted to three councils, going through a divorce. Uh, and so you have to look at the things that you are doing because it's your behavior that sabotages your own success. right? Another reason why you may be talented and broke is because you're not naming or relabeling or rebranding the true identity of your innermost fear. You say, "Oh, I don't like that. I don't like dogs." No, the reality is you petrified of them because of what happened when you was 5 years old. It chased you down the street. So there's certain things that we don't face and we don't deal with, and when we get a bunch of money, these things either it contorts your reality, your decision making process, and you don't know how to actually deal with having and managing large sums of money. I'll give you this right quick. So basically, my answer is the way that you could deal with that is actually buying the book. Because I can't tell you that you can, I can tell you, the points. For example, like number 5, the 5th reason why you could be talented and broke is because you have too many spectators in your life and not enough team players. Everybody want to be around you when you hit the winning shot, but nobody want to be to practice. Practice? You talking about practice? You talking about practice? Yes, we talking about practice. Nobody want to show up to practice. So these are the habits that you need to formulate. Nobody says, "Teach me how to run a race," and expect for me to just put you in the race, a national meet, and say, "Go ahead and run. Just do your arms like this and move your feet as fast as you could, and then let's see what happens." No, we don't do that. We got to take you through the training of what it takes to win. So the answer, my friend, is that if you're stuck, it's because you got stuck. You hear that? You got you stuck. So let's deal with you and your ideas and your philosophies, because that's the thing that will either keep you from making your first million or it will cause you to lose it expeditiously, like I did. So I had to come to Jesus moment and say, you know what? I didn't blame anybody. I didn't say the white man did this and did that, and I didn't say nothing. I said, listen, what didn't I learn? And I realized I didn't read the books associated with the next level. If I want to get to the next level, I got to read those books. Does that make sense to anybody? I got to read the books for where I'm going, not for where I am. I got to deal with where who I become so that I can be who I really need to be in the future. So hopefully that answers the question there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
All right.
listen, we
There we go.
thank you tonight, Delano A. Johnson, the author, the creator, the
Appreciate it,
businessman,
man.
the entrepreneur, the husband. Thank you, brother. It's been a
Appreciate you.
pleasure having you and Queen Monique, another dynamic to your, I call it the power couple. I want to thank you, brother. It was
Thank you.
fantastic. And thank all of you. Charlene in the house tonight. Thank you so much for being in the house. Michael D. Wynn was in the house. Thank you, brother. Eric Harrison, Brother Wisdom. He's been so eloquently called tonight. And Lady Shannon, thank you, my love, being in the house tonight. And Miros is in the house tonight.
What's up,
Look,
Mirdos?
that's Miros up in here. All right. Michelle L is up in the house, y'all. Come on. It's all right. Lindsay Robinson, Kathy's in the house. Corey Taylor, Antonio Landis, Antones was in the house. Melinda McLean, thank you so much for
King
being.
Tones in the house.
Yes, indeed. Kendra Shannon, thank you, love, for being in there. Jaira, what's up, brother? Taylor is in the house. Dr. Rhonda M. Wood is in the house, y'all. Bella, aka Linda, y'all know her. She's in the house.
Woo woo.
Darius Lester, Sakina Griggs. We had a total of 38 people in the house tonight. But thank you. Thank all of you for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Leaders Live Generously Summit. It is free, open up to the public free. It is our way of giving back. We call it Speak to Serve. And that's what we do. And so we here to be catalysts to help you find your purpose, to help you. And what is the purpose? Your purpose is the original intent for which you were created. Once you find your purpose, you can live your life All right, we got one more training on tomorrow, and our trainings is from 7 to 8:30. And hey, listen, it's been fire. It's been fire. It's been impactful. It's been amazing. We have 62 speakers and 3 singers. All right, out of the 62. It's amazing amalgamation, gathering of talent, gifts, experience, backgrounds. Listen, you heard tonight what Delano was giving you on branding. Man, that's powerful. He's got a session. Monique, Lisa, she's got a session. You want to write a book, know how to get that book, you better call her, right? Dr. Rhonda Wood, she's got a session. She's going to be dealing with so much mental health. She's worked with lawyers. She's a writer. Oh my God. You listen, if you can't get fired up after this summit, boy, something wrong with you. You hear me? You've got the architect himself, Eric Harrison. You heard his whole thing being changed, brother wisdom. You understand? Michael D already telling you how to do it. He's gonna come with his nice suits on. Y'all heard him. All right. So listen, you don't want to miss this. Sakina Griggs is coming. Been doing customized custom work for her children for years. Man, it's just power packed in here. Then of course, you know what I'm talking about: leading, loving, and generosity. We got to help you move to a whole new level. All right. And so we're going to wrap it up. You got a question? I see your hand came back up, Delano.
Yeah, I wanted to give you guys one more tip here, seeing that we're on Zoom. I want to give you a tip here. So if you look at my screen, I want you to pay attention to the composition, right? There's a certain amount of space in the background, and there's a certain amount of body that you can see. So studies show that when you show your hands, because most of us talk with our hands, this is another expression of communication. So y'all saw that tonight. I was very fluid. I was all over the place, right? Using my hands. So that's important. So what's important is when you're on a Zoom, because this is they have a very small section or opportunity to determine who you are. So you want to make sure that you're right in the same frame. You're here, right, which is right to the bottom of your chest, to the top of your head. So you're filling the frame. You're filling this frame in. So you're not too much like this. You're not in here, because then you're crouching on the space, and you're not way over here. And for goodness sake, you're not like this. Yeah. So that's the last tip that I'm going to give you, is that listen, this is your first chance you have to basically say to them, here's who I am. I care about my brand, so let me show you how much I care about it. I'm presenting myself in such a way where not only am I communicating to you, but I'm still talking to you even after we're done. It's going to leave the imprint. There's a visual psychological imprint that the brain keeps score with. You don't see it, they don't see it, but I guarantee you this is just how the brain works. So just continue to do that. Make sure you get. I see Sister Glennis. That's a really good composition there. My brother Mike, you're a little bit low. Charlene Harper, she has a good. That's pretty good. Miros is a little high. Babe, you're a little close. I don't see anybody else. Yeah. So always remember, guys, to do that. You want to fix your screen before you get on. The minute you cut it on, you should be right smack in the center where it's proportionate. All right. Bottom of the chest to the top of the head is in full screen. All right. That's it. I'm done.
Well, you got it. Thank you so much. And thank all of you. Listen, it is that time, 8:29, and we are always, always true to who we are, true to our word. It has been a pleasure for me to serve you. I love how Dr. Frazier said, show me, teach me how to teach you how to help you. All right. That's all it is. We just want to help you, serve you, and be a callus to push you to your destiny. All right. Don't forget, get the book. All right. The link is in the chat. Get it. Support our own Dr. Frazier's books, all of that. Get all of the books that everyone talks about. Get this information, invest in yourself, and let's go to the top. because guess what? It's room up there. Everybody else is at the bottom. It's too crowded. Okay. So come on up. Come on up. All right. So listen, God bless you. God keep you. That's always my prayer. Let's go lead. Let's go love. And let's be generous. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Peace. Bye.